guys, hope you're doing well today. In this video today, I'll be speaking and enlightening our minds on the 5 keys of effective studies and deep understanding. You may want to ask, what's the need for this topic? Others may love to study effectively and understand deeply, but they don't know how to go about it. Still, some people may have already been studying effectively but want to know more and additional keys. In this video, all these questions will be answered and a lot more. Just stay tuned and please make sure you watch this video to the end, because at the end of any inspirational video is a comedy just for you. And please do well to subscribe to this channel in case you haven't done so already. Click on the subscription button below and don't forget to turn on the notification buttons to watch our upcoming inspirational video. Welcome back. So key number 1, avoid distractions. Distractions are everywhere, from cell phones to social media to friends. Beware of what distracts you when you want to study and how to stay clear of it. You know, when you're about to study, there are always distractions that will always come your way. You have friends, some friends may just want to play, chat. At those particular times, those are the times you have to make sure you keep away from friends, because they'll always be there to distract you. Avoid sitting next to friends who always distract you. You know, there are some friends that no matter what, they'll always want to discuss when you're about to study. And for you to study effectively and understand deeply, you have to make sure you stay away from these friends. And also, turning off your cell phones can make you pay more attention on what you want to study. You know, sometimes when you want to study and your phone is on, you can't just like study when you have not touched your phone or reply to that text. No, you have to keep the phone aside. When you really want to study and understand deeply, you have to make sure your phone is not by your side. You have to make sure your phone is either turned off or is kept on silent, so that you can concentrate more. Most of the reasons why we do not understand what we want to study is because our phones are on. When they send a message, you want to check, and by the time you're coming back to what you were studying, you are already off, or you're already less concentrated on what you're about to study. So one of the key ways of making sure you understand deeply is to turn off your phones or even keep it far away from you. When it's time to study, you know it's time to study. So you should not be manipulating your phone when you know it's your time to study. Key number 2, say no to sleep. If you want to study effectively and understand deeply, make sure you avoid sleeping while studying, because the two can't go. That's why if you notice, there are some people, while they are studying, they'll read one paragraph or a sentence over and over. Why? Because they are studying and sleeping. The two can't go. Make sure when you're about to study, you are free of sleep. Do everything it takes to make sure you are not sleeping, because it has shown that, research has shown that anytime you study while sleeping, there is a part of your brain that once you're sleeping, and that part of your brain is trying to rest, the part that controls thinking and reasoning. While that part is trying to rest, at the same time you are trying to study, it makes you think you are understanding, but meanwhile it's not actually recording in your brain. So you have to make sure you stay clear of sleep while you're studying. And I'm sure by now you will be asking yourself, okay, how can I really read without sleeping? Or how can I really study without sleeping? Here are some tips that will help you. Sit on a chair and not on a bed. You know, sometimes when we want to study, we prefer sitting on the bed or sleeping on the bed while reading our books. No, that will only make your understanding to be shallow, and you cannot have a deep understanding while you are sitting on the bed and reading, because you bring sleep to you, and once sleep comes, you know that the understanding will no longer be deep, it will just be shallow. Point number 2, drink a lot of water. When you drink a lot of water, it makes you vibrant, it makes you stay up, it makes your brain always active, and so there is no point for sleep. Tip number 3, take a nap in the afternoon. You know, when you come back from school or when you have some free time in the afternoon, it's always good to sleep at that time, so that when you're about studying in the evening, you're clear and free of sleep. And reading without sleeping or studying without sleeping makes you get a deep understanding, because there is no interaction between what you're doing. Key number 3, always pray before starting. Yes, praying to God is a key to effective studies and deep understanding. This is because prayer is a way of communicating to God. When you're about to study, always make sure you commit it to God. Tell Him, Father, I really want to understand what I'm reading, and I want to return back what I've read. Many people who don't understand, or when they read, they don't return what they have read, is because they don't have the habit of committing their studies to God. It's always good to commit everything to God before you start reading. And so studying also is something you want to do. So if you make yourself a habit of committing your studies to God before start reading, it will be a great advantage to you, because God will always bring what you have been reading and always bring to remembrance what you have been reading. Remember, the Bible says you should ask and you shall receive. And don't ever forget what the Bible says, because whatever the Bible says is a fact. So when you're about to read, commit it to God. Tell God, I want to understand every sentence I want to read, and I want to understand it deeply, and bear me. God will always bring it to your remembrance, whatever you want to read. Key number 4, study over and over. Studying over and over is a great way of effective and deep understanding. Studying a particular thing over and over makes it stick into your brain. When you're about to read, always read that stuff over and over. And that's why if you notice any domain of anything you're studying and you're reading over and over, that thing sticks into your brain and it's very difficult for you to forget that thing. Most of the times when students want to read, they always find it difficult to get back into their book. They always find it difficult to read that stuff again over. You just want to read once and that's all. No, it does not work like that. Whatever you read over and over tends to remain in your mind. Now, reading over and over also helps you understand many things, because remember, there are some things you read the first time that you didn't really understand, and so when you're reading the second time, you're paying more attention to those things you did not understand the first time. So when you're reading again the third time, you are paying more attention to those things you do not understand the second time, and by doing so, the brain is recording. The brain records more when it keeps hearing things over and over. It records more when it keeps hearing things over and over. So one of the greatest ways to understand effectively is to read over and over. Don't just read once and keep the book. No, you may read once, read twice, read thrice. As you keep reading and reading, it keeps sticking and sticking. Key number 5, what to start with. This is a very vital key in enjoying studies and enhancing deep understanding. Never you start with something that is boring. When you're about to study, you have some particular things you want to study. Always start with what you know is interesting to you. You may have 5 things you want to study, but now you don't know which one to start with. This is a very important key. Start with that thing you know is very interesting. Start with the subject you know is very interesting. By doing so, it clears you of sleep and makes you vibrant to study. It makes you active. Now, when you are done with what you really like studying, you might now get to the things that you do not really like to study, or those things that are not really interesting to you. Now, when you study that, you're already alert, so you can't sleep. It's very difficult for you to sleep at that time when you're studying that thing you don't really like. And now, what to end with is very also important. End with those things that are interesting. So it's good to start with what you love, and then you continue with that thing you don't really find interesting, and then you end with something that is interesting. That's a vital way of staying off sleep. It's very good when you start with something very interesting. It makes you love studying the more. Most of the people who just study for a few minutes or just study for an hour are those people who always start with things that are very boring. They may want to start reading and they start with that subject they don't really like. They will just find themselves sleeping. Meanwhile, there are other things to study. Start with that thing that is very interesting. Once you start with something very interesting, it gives you the appetite to continue study. Now you can now keep what you also like studying at the end and keep what you do not really find interesting in the middle. So when you study that which you don't really like, you can get now to that which you like. This will help you a lot. Always make sure you start with something interesting. And also, it is important to note at this point that deep understanding also comes with a high level of focus. You have to be focused. You don't just read anyhow, anywhere. No, you have to focus your mind on a particular domain, on a particular field, and make sure you understand that stuff well. Read a paragraph over and over and make sure it sticks into your mind before getting to the next paragraph. We don't just study or read because we want to read. No, many people who don't get deep understanding are those that just open their books and begin to read. You don't understand that way. You have to keep some things you have decided that I have to understand this. I have to focus on this particular subject. And if I'm not understanding, then I'm not going to the next part. That is a great way of making your mind already focused. Your mind already knows that I have no choice than to understand this thing. So your mind begins to work according to what you have already determined. So you have to have a focus. Make sure you study a particular thing. Don't just study over and over. Many people don't really get understanding because they just start with things that they don't really know. They just keep reading because they have said I should read my book. No, you have to focus on a particular thing and make sure it remains before you get to the next. We have come to the end of this inspirational episode. Thanks for watching. Please like and share this video to your friends, your family members, and your loved ones. You never know the amount of life you may impact or transform just by sharing this video to somebody. Remember, nothing makes a man outstanding like understanding. Nothing makes a man outstanding like understanding. Please subscribe to this channel in case you haven't done so. Click on the red subscription button below and don't forget to turn off the notification button to be the first to watch our upcoming video. Remember, the earlier you are inspired, the earlier you are.
Today's comedy is called The Stupid Follower. Once upon a time, there were two friends called Boris and Belen. So every day, Boris kept telling Belen that anytime his hand starts feeling itchy, something good is going to come to him. And so each day, Boris' hand starts getting itchy. He will run to his friend Belen and say to him, "My hands are feeling itchy again." and immediately something good like a car, money, or a house will come to Bori. So one day, Bilen too started praying to God, asking God to make his hands itch too.
Oh no!
So after a week of prayers, Bilen's hands started getting itchy, and Bilen was so happy knowing that he will have his own car, house, and money.
Oh no!
So after 1 week, his hands started getting inflamed and swollen. So he then went to the hospital and consulted the doctor. After the doctor had consulted him, the doctor now told him that he had a very dangerous hand disease.